Are you looking for all the latest pro football news and content? Of course you are. Who doesn't love football? The question is, how do you get all the latest pro football news and content? There's so many different pro football podcasts on the internet. Which one do you choose? Which one is the right fit for you? Well, you go with the Cross the Middle Show, one of the fastest growing football podcasts out right now. Over the past year, we've climbed the Spotify rankings, become a show you have to listen to if you're a football fan. Find out the Ravens will go all the way with Odell Beckham Jr. Find out the Eagles did enough to make it back to the Super Bowl. You'll get all of our best stories for just $1 per month. All you have to do is sign up by clicking the link in the episode description box. Welcome back to another episode of the Cross the Middle Show. It's your host, John Kuzma, where we discuss all the latest pro football news and action. We're going to recap the Dolphins game and their huge outburst of scoring that they had, 70 points in that game. We're also going to talk about the Lions' win over the Falcons. So let's start with this Dolphins game because that's what everybody wants to hear about. The Dolphins almost broke the record for the most points scored in an NFL game. They scored 70 points on the Broncos. And when you're looking at this game and really trying to dissect what happened, it all starts with the two running backs in this game, Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. Those two guys were so good for the Dolphins in this game. I mean, you want to talk about catching the ball, running the ball, great down by the goal line. I mean, let's start with Raheem Mostert. Down by the goal line, did great work, broke a tackle, drifted out to the right side, near the right sideline, dove in the end zone, caught a pass and scored. I mean, it was great work for Raheem Mostert. And then Devon Achane, I mean, that guy had a huge showing in that game against the Broncos too. He also dominated, ran hard. You talk about the shovel passes, the creativity that the Dolphins have. They had two shovel passes in this game that worked to perfection. I'm pretty sure Achane caught one of those and scored. Had the run at the end of the game where he broke off a nice run and took it to the house that got the Dolphins to 70 points. So it was a great showing all around for Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane in this game, to the point where they accounted for 8 touchdowns in this game. Stop and think about that. The two running backs accounted for 8 touchdowns in this game. They each had 4 touchdowns. I mean, you want to talk about just packing a punch in this game and really just wearing the Broncos down to the point that the Broncos didn't have any chance in this game. I mean, that's a devastating loss. And you look at Sean Payton, look at the rest of those guys, Russell Wilson, they're missing their heads right now because you get beat by 70 points and suddenly the sky is falling and you don't know what is going on anymore because nothing is working and, they can't win a game. Everything's going bad. You look at what Dolphins were able to do defensively in this game. I mean, they caused Cortland Sutton to fumble the ball twice. He coughed up the football twice in this game. They picked off Russell Wilson. Just a great showing all around for the Dolphins. How can we forget about Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill was everywhere in this game. You go back to Tyreek Hill, we've talked about this in the past. It's the volume with Tyreek Hill, the volume of catches that he gets. He scored the first touchdown in the game. He jumped in the stands. All his teammates came over. Everybody was jumping around. It looked like a House of Pain concert. And that energy is contagious. And, the other players on this Dolphins team feed off of that. And, Tyreek Hill, the crossing routes are what jump out to me with Tyreek Hill. He's so fast that when he starts, breaking across the middle of the field, people can't go stride for stride with him on those crossing routes, and he always gets separation, and then he has a chance to turn upfield and do his thing. I saw in this game he did a good job of working a hesitation move where he kind of catches the football, turns upfield, but then he slows down or he comes to a complete stop, and then he accelerates again. And these defenders can't deal with that change of pace because he accelerates so fast that they're just left in the dust. And, the crossing routes, the amount of catches that he gets, his ability to go vertical. There's just so many things that Tyreek Hill does well. And think about this. They did all this outpouring of offense. They did all this without Jalen Waddle. I mean, the fact that they're able to put up 70 points without Jalen Waddle is amazing to me. The running backs take over. Tyreek Hill's doing really good. Tua Tagovailoa throwing the football all over the place. That's pretty much just how it went for the Dolphins. Braxton Berrios chipped in here and there. And then later on in the game, because they basically start resting the starters because the game's out of reach and they're blowing the Broncos out. Robbie Chosen, a.k.a. Robbie Anderson, comes in the game, goes deep on Patrick Surtain, takes that pass to the house. I mean, it was a rout and just a complete blowout by the Miami Dolphins to the point where the Broncos had to fly back home with their tail between their legs. Just an embarrassing performance by the Broncos. They're lost. I'm telling you that right now. That team is lost. And right about now, you're wondering if Sean Payton wishes that he was in the broadcasting booth as a sports analyst because nothing is working right now with this Broncos team. They're in a rough division where, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Chargers are more talented than they are. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen for Sean Payton. There's no end in sight, and he's got a long road ahead of him to end this suffering because his team is outgunned. It doesn't matter what he does. It's just not looking good. Now, if there's any bright spot for the Broncos, it might be their wide receivers, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Jerry Jeudy. They got some receivers that can do something, but when you're losing, by 70 points, or the other team scored 70 points, I guess I should say, it's a rough day at the office, and there's not much that's going to cure that suffering. And we saw Sean Payton, getting frustrated with the reporters in the press conference. I mean, that's what happens when you get, 70 points hung on you. Give all the credit in the world to the Dolphins offense. Mike McDaniel did a great job of getting his guys ready to play. The way he designs these plays, he's putting his guys in a position to succeed, but the players are making the most of it. The Dolphins, they look like a real contender right now. I got them going to the playoffs now. I wasn't, certain that they would even be a playoff team. Fast forward to now, though, you have to feel good about them making the playoffs with their 3-0 record. They just have so much speed that they can turn every game into a track meet. You can't run with all those weapons. And when you have guys like Robbie Chosen on the practice squad that are waiting to get called up, well, he finally did get called up into this game because Jalen Waddle was out. He gets a piece of the action too. It just shows how deep they are with all these track stars. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Robbie Chosen. They have guys that can go vertical, and they have guys that can simply outrun the secondary. And it's a mismatch as soon as they step onto the field. And, they're going to get Jalen Waddle back and be even more explosive. So, yeah, it looks like the Dolphins will end up being a playoff team. It's only 3 weeks, in the bag, but, they're undefeated. They're playing at a high level. It's an exciting brand of football, and you have to believe that their chances of making the playoffs have significantly increased over these first 3 weeks. The other game we have is the Lions win over the Falcons. The Lions put together a nice win over the Falcons, and I was impressed with Jared Goff in this game. Jared Goff does a great job of throwing the football over the middle. He does. He can dissect teams over the middle. His arm is stronger than people thought it was. He's, doing a good job of making plays to this offense. Look at the Sam Laporta touchdown where he bootlegs and then unleashes a bomb to Sam Laporta for Sam Laporta's first touchdown in the NFL. I mean, a great throw from Jared Goff. Even on the throw that Jared Goff was intercepted by Jesse Bates. Go back and look at that throw. Look how much zip is on that pass. Yeah, he telegraphed it a little bit, but you're going to have plays in an NFL game where you miss. Now, the majority of the plays you're going to make, but that one just got away from Jared Goff, but it showed on that play how much zip he does have. And the fact that he's able to throw the football like that, when he hones that in and he starts making that throw, I mean, the Lions are going to be really dangerous. They already are. I mean, a convincing win over the Falcons. Jared Goff did a good job getting Amon-Ra St. Brown involved in this game. He worked every part of the field, the middle, on the perimeter, towards the right sidelines, a throw to the left sideline. Great job by Jared Goff getting Amon-Ra St. Brown involved. He did a little bit of everything, had a lot of big-time catches over the middle in traffic that were contested, but he still finds a way to come down with the football. I thought Khalif Raymond did a good job of chipping in here and there for the Lions offense in this game. He made some nice catches over the middle as well. Sam Laporta, we talked about the big play. He also was able to get involved. It was a good job by the Lions passing game, and they got the playmakers to do something with this offense. You have to remember Jameson Williams is coming back at some point too, so they really have the pieces on this Detroit Lions offense. And when Jared Goff plays like this, at one point I think he was like what was he, like 15 to 17 at one point for like 168 yards and a touchdown? I mean, he was completing the majority of his passes, and he was just dissecting that Falcons defense to the point where they weren't really standing a chance. And then he pulls the zone read and runs for a touchdown later on in the game. That was another big moment in this game. He pulls the zone read, gets around Calais Campbell and scores a touchdown. Tries to do kind of like a Lambeau leap type of thing. Couldn't get up there. He's got to work on his hops a little bit. But another great showing by Jared Goff. You have to be proud of how much this guy has accomplished since joining the Lions. Gets rode off by the Rams, comes to the Lions, and really completely turns it around. Not that he was bad with the Rams. I think he was scapegoated by Sean McVay. But he's really turning it on with the Lions and has been doing a remarkable job for this team. You have to give Jared Goff all the credit in the world. And the Lions have a winning record. They're 2-1 right now, playing good football, and heading into that Thursday night football matchup against Green Bay. Jared Goff playing great. Then on the defensive side of the ball, you look at what they were able to do on the defensive side of the ball. This was the game we've been waiting for as far as the Lions pass rush goes. They did a good job of getting pressure on Desmond Ridder. You look at early on in this game, Benito Jones gets the sack. They had another sack early on in the game. They were putting pressure on him, from the very get-go. Alex Anzalone, he had a great start to this game. I thought he had a great game. He comes out, lays a big hit early on in the game. Flying to the football and just sniffing the plays out and, doing a good job of trusting his instincts and making sure he breaks down, whatever the offense is trying to do, and then flies to the football and, lays a hit on the ball carrier. I thought he did a great job of doing that. Jack Campbell had the sack right before the half and then ran to the locker room. And then Aiden Hutchinson late in the game. Aiden Hutchinson did a good job of making sure the Lions closed this game out. Had the sack, the forced fumble. I think he recovered it too. Did a good job of, I think he had 2 sacks in the game, but he was just getting after it, putting pressure on the quarterback. Saw him do a good job of, getting Bijan Robinson in the backfield too. We had to talk about that. The Lions did a good job of containing Bijan Robinson. I mean, the Falcons offense really couldn't score in this game. Would they have a couple field goals? So the defense deserves all the credit in the world for this game. Brian Branch was great. I'm loving that pick by the Lions. He's been great so far. Laid Bijan Robinson out, took that penalty, but sometimes you got to set the tone for your team. And when Bijan Robinson gets hit like that, he thinks twice about running so freely because there's guys like Brian Branch that are headhunting and trying to make him pay trying to make him work for every single inch in the game. And that's why Bijan Robinson had probably his worst game of the year. And, that's what you need to do to beat that team, because he's been, the X factor for them up till this point. Overall, you look at that defense, they contain Desmond Ridder, they contain Bijan Robinson, and that's why the Falcons, had to head back home with a loss, and they couldn't generate anything on offense because the Lions defense was playing with so much energy and doing a good job of, getting pressure and, taking away, the pass. And, like I said, Anzalone getting to the football and setting the tone early on in this game. And then Aiden Hutchinson, making sure that we clinch the game and taking us home at the end. Just an all-around great effort by the Lions. Great effort on offense by Jared Goff and the guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, Sam Laporta. That's how you win in the National Football League. 2-1. The Lions are 2-1. They are still playing good football. They turned the page on their loss and didn't let it spiral into a 2-game losing streak. So you have to applaud them for that. And like I said, they got the Packers for the NFC North, first place in that division. So to be the top dog in the NFC North, I think that's Thursday Night Football. That one's happening. So we're going to see who's the top dog in the NFC North. Let's not forget, the Packers came back and won a game against the Saints that the Saints probably should have won. The Saints were winning 17-0. The Packers battled all the way back, were able to win that game. So the Packers are coming in pumped up after a big win, battling back against the Saints. The Lions are feeling good after just manhandling the Falcons. We're going to see who's top dog in the NFC North, and we're going to see what team, is the team to beat in this division. I'm John Kuzma, though. That's all I got for this latest episode of the Cross the Middle Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm signing off.